Welcome to Motivational Monday. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. Today, I'd like to emphasize the push strategy. But before we start, make sure to like, subscribe, and do share, especially if you find value in this presentation. Okay, so this is taking me back some years ago, and this is already, as I'm already in the working world. I had been in this corporation, and I was working in Liaison with another person. I wasn't underneath this particular person, but I was working somewhat overlooking certain aspects of the company, and he was somewhat overlapping on my territory. And I'll never forget this. We had really connected because of cultural denominations. We had both been through very similar backgrounds, and there was a lot of camaraderie, and he was my alter ego, believe it or not, right? So here's this guy I look up to and I really admire, but he was so tough. I mean, to the people underneath him, he was so tough. And I wasn't even in his jurisdiction, but he was so tough on me, I can't even describe it. I mean, every single opportunity, he'd call me out. He'd embarrass me sometimes even. But I knew that there was love underneath it. And it was a very challenging time for me, because, and it brought me to tears sometimes, honestly, like really brought me to tears, because I would be like, why is this guy so out there for me, right? I know there's some, commonality and there's some, and I couldn't get it. And I had spoken to somebody about it, and they said, well, the person really loves you. He really, really wants to see you grow. And I was like, come on, you don't do that. I mean, that's not inspiring me. But sure enough, I'm standing here 15 years later, and I'm telling you that everything that I've accomplished in the more recent years only because people who were on top of me pushed me. Now, in a healthy relationship, in a family life, and I'm not saying that anybody can get this down, but it's really hard. If a parent, a father specifically, gets it right, he knows how to push his sons to inspiration. Not push his sons down, but push his sons to inspiration. If you have that much latitude with your boys, and you push them, they'll become much greater off later on. And in the moment, they may hate you, but that's how they lead to love you in the end. And if you get that in an early state, okay, in an early stage in your life, and you get those type of mentors, you get those type of people, and it's really hard. I mean, I'm telling you, as a father myself, it's really hard to put your child to that level, and you've got to know their levels. You've got to know where to take them. You don't want to push them over the edge, right? You don't want to be those soccer dads who are pushing their kids, play better, and want them to become a professional athlete, right? You want to push them within their comfort zone, but push them nonetheless, because at the end of it all, they will love and respect you. And that's just a very interesting formula. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because last week there was someone who really shared with me, she was breaking down about this particular person who got on her case. And I said, it's just because he loves you, and because he wants to see you grow, and he knows that you're capable of doing it. And she's like, but really? I said, that's the only way to do it. And I shared with her my experience with it. And she kind of normalized it. Now, it's always a frame of mind. It's always an attitude. It's the way we look at things at life. It's perspective versus facts. Now, perspective is only non-objective when you're not in the situation. But perspective when you're in the situation is not objective, because you've got feelings and there's emotions there. There's so many things that are put into it. But when you're separated from the situation, you have a clearer perspective of what's going on. And I said it to her, and I told her, I said, look, he's given you some presents and bonuses and different things, and that's because he realizes you can do it. So if he's getting on your case, now he's getting on your case because he wants you to grow. Now, again, it is a very fine line, and you have to be really, really good at it. And this is where most people fail, is because they go too far, or they make it too emotional, or whatever other ingredient there, and messes up, and there's a falling out as a result of it. You've got to be really good and know who that person is to be able to help them grow. But that's just it. That push strategy really, really works in making from a boy to a man, for making from a regular worker to a fantastic worker, from making yourself into someone that you galvanize into because somebody used that push strategy. We'll see you here next week on Motivational Mondays. Have a good week, everybody.